What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ring the Bell show. Christy Francesco here with you. I think it's by myself for just a few moments. I think I'm waiting on Jason Kent here. But look, this first couple days here did not go the way I expected. But listen, that's from an optimist point of view when it comes to the Phillies as of late. I'm pretty much an optimist with how outcomes are going to be. And I know Dean and I spoke on Sunday night, and I really thought that the Phillies, and I think Mr. Jason Kent is here. Jay, like I was just saying, I was optimistic on Sunday, probably overtly optimistic. I should have been significantly cautiously optimistic in terms of what I thought this Braves series was going to be. Because the reason why is, look, when you watch this, and look, the Phillies are down 4-1 here in the bottom of the seventh in the final and the fourth and final game of this series. The Braves are just so dominant from top to bottom. And I look, I think anything can happen in the playoffs. This is almost the same Braves team as last year, and the Phillies just beat the crap out of them in the postseason, and that could happen again. We don't know. First, the Phillies got to get to the postseason. But man, this is. Was I wrong to think that the Phillies could take 3 or 4? Was I, even if they split the series? I didn't think they would be. I guess I didn't think they would be this bad. I mean, the Phillies pitching staff, if the Phillies don't make the postseason, it will be on the pitching staff and the bullpen. What are your thoughts so far on what you've seen these first 3.5 games?
It's just been tough since Miami, really.
Yeah.
Like, even since the beginning of September, they're not as hot as they were in August and as well when they played in August. It just seems like it's come to a screeching halt. And it really is, because the offense put up runs this series, regardless if something like a game like yesterday or the last, it's late, but they're still putting up the runs that you should be able to win with. I think this is something in the offseason we definitely discussed. They don't have the pitching depth. Wheeler hasn't exactly been Wheeler this season, and Nola has been even, bad for even Nola. So it was something that I just didn't expect. Braves are a great team. They're 16 games ahead of us.
So good.
They're so good.
They're so good.
Like you stated, we did beat them last year in the playoffs, and it is a lot of the same team. Man, Olson's impressive though.
Yes.
If you got rid of Freddie Freeman, I don't know how you replace a Freddie Freeman. But when you could put Matt Olson in there doing what he did this year, they're just a dangerous team. And Strider threw 30 plus pitches in that first inning today, only able to scratch across one run. And then he locked in, and that's what an ace does. And he's a legitimate ace. It's tough. I don't know. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But it's not looking optimistic for September. It's going to have to be magical. They're going to have to figure something out over these next few weeks, in terms of rotation, how they're going to play their bullpen arms, and just figuring it out, because they just don't. They look tired, really. Like, they don't look like they're. And all your stud defense, all your stud bullpen guys. At this point, there's nobody I can rely on to come in and late in the game, in a close game, and lock it down. So it's very worrisome coming down when you're half a month away from the playoffs.
Yep.
And you're really not. You're not playing your best baseball. It's tough.
Yeah, and to kind of go back what you were talking about, Strider, man, over 30 pitches in that inning, and he still was able to finish 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. And you go on the other side, basically the Phillies, fifth starter, Chris Sanchez wasn't terrible. I mean, he's at 7 1/3, 8 hits though, 4 runs, got 10 strikeouts. So he's thrown just about 100 pitches here. I think from looking right now, it looks like his night is done, as the manager, Mr. Thompson, is coming out to relieve him.
Was this his longest outing of the season going into the 8th?
I think it might be his longest outing of the season. I'll have to definitely check that. But still, this is another 4 earned runs. And again, we've talked about this before. Jay, is that we have to at some point rely on the pitching to save some of these games because you can't assume this isn't a video game. We can't assume that this Phillies offense for the rest of the season is going to average 7, 8 runs a game. It's not a recipe for success that if you're the Phillies, you go, well, I mean, okay, well, if our pitching gives up 5 or 6, our offense is going to score 7 or 8. If you look at what's been happening, this team is coming back in the 8th and the 9th inning from deficits, as always. They're either tying the game or they are going ahead and they're losing in extra innings. They're still finding ways to lose baseball games. This is a problem. Look, they're a game and a half up of the Cubs for that number one wild card spot. And I understand if you, logically speaking, we probably in our heart of hearts thought that the Phillies would probably lose 3 or 4 to the Braves here.
Agreed.
So then you go into this weekend and you got a very sweepable series coming up against the St. Louis Cardinals. So, Jay, does your optimism go back to normal in a positive way if they come out this weekend and sweep the Cardinals?
No, because I kind of expect it. I think the Cardinals is a team that, we should handle pretty well. They're not a good baseball team this year. They did get rid of some pieces, but I just don't think they're, they still, they're still dangerous. They have players, but it's a series. I'm expecting nothing less than 2 of 3. And if they sweep it, because you're not going to see a team like St. Louis, you're not going to see a team like the Mets, you're not going to see, Pittsburgh in the playoffs. You're seeing Atlanta, and we have, I think the good thing is we have one series left with Atlanta. So I would like to see a better pitching outing by these guys. But outside of that, they should really handle the rest of that schedule. They shouldn't, outside of the Mets or outside of the Braves series, they really shouldn't lose another series the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and just to let everybody know, the Phillies play the Cardinals this weekend, and then they're right down to Atlanta for a 3-game set next Monday through Wednesday. So you got to get I almost feel like it's sweep or bust this weekend because I'm now terrified to go down to Atlanta for a 3-gamer here in the middle, smack dab in the middle to the end of September.
Well, I wanted to bring up too, because you're sitting there and we saw, what was that stat over the last however many weeks? I think the last 3 weeks, they've lost 5 games that they've been, either tied it in the 8th or 9th or took the lead in the 8th or 9th. And that was something you and I discussed a few weeks back about how, I forget, it was a couple weeks ago, but since the All-Star break, they had 22 or something like that come from behind wins.
Yes. And
it's just not sustainable.
You were right. And you called this, and I give you credit for this, is that you said, look, it's going to bite them. It's going to come back.
It really is.
Yeah.
The only good thing is we have so much. I think there's a big enough lead in the wild card in general that it might not bite us and we should still make it. But the difference between, playing at home against the Cubs or having to play on the road, and it's not out of the realm of possibility with the way they're playing. If they drop down to that number 3 seed, you got to play, I don't know I guess it would be Milwaukee at this point. You got to play an even better team. So it is, especially like you said, a sweep would be fantastic, but going down to the Braves next week, man, you can't lose 3 to the Braves. You can't get swept by the Braves.
No, the stat that we were talking about is the Phillies have gotten a game-tying or go-ahead home run in the 8th or 9th inning 5 times in the last 3 weeks, and the Phillies are 0-5 in those 5 games. So, we talk about the offense a lot, and, you really cannot – I can't sit here and criticize an offense that averages 6-7 runs a game. They're doing what they're supposed to do, regardless if it's in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. The fact is, they're doing it. They're scoring the runs that if you score, it almost is laughable that I have to say that if you score 7 runs a night, you should win every single night. So Jay, let's talk about pitching. Where is your worry meter from Zach Wheeler all the way down to Craig Kimbrell? Where is your worry level?
I'm on 5. Like it's
Yeah.
I don't I'm very it's almost at a 10. I just don't
Yeah.
trust this. Nola last year up until really I guess that last game of the championship series looked, fantastic.
Hmm.
And he had a great season. I know people want to bang on him. He did finish fourth in Cy Young. He against Houston came through at the end of the year
Hmm.
against in our first against the Braves, against who else did they play in the playoffs last year?
Cardinals.
The Cardinals, and then even the first start against San Diego, he looked
Hmm.
great, and then
Yeah.
it fell off. And this season, he never caught it. And I thought he'd be huge. And the rest of after those guys, I don't really trust Ranger right now. He was a guy I thought was going to have a big season. Walker, I don't know. You know what you're getting out of him. You don't know
You
what you're
really
getting out of
don't.
Sanchez.
No.
And in the bullpen, Alvarado for most of the season was your lockdown guy.
Hmm.
When everybody else was struggling, and now he's starting to not have his stuff. He's starting to be more inconsistent like we've seen in the past. So if something doesn't change in the next half month, which it's tough to say it will, I don't see them making anything realistic in the playoffs because this pitching is not. I don't think the bats are that good. They're not. They can't, like you said, they scored 7 runs and they're still losing. So you can't do that in the playoffs because you're going to face teams like the Braves, the Dodgers, Houston's that have pitching staffs that will be able to limit this offense no matter how great they are. Like Trey Turner's been playing out of his mind the last few months. And he's still
Hmm.
and Bryce looks great. Stott is looking good. Bohm's still looking good. Even with Schwarber has been crushing it. So
Yeah.
and they still just can't win because the pitching is
Hmm.
so bad. So I think next offseason, Dombrowski's got a lot of maneuvering because a lot of payrolls tied up in hitting, and they
Yeah.
really, really need some starters and some
Yeah.
bullpen pieces.
So that's it, it's come to that point. And look, we can all look so silly if this team ends up back in the World Series, and we could be like, well, what we said on September 13th made us look really stupid. But the fact of the matter is, we can only talk about what's going on right now. And um, let's just look at Craig Kimbrell for a second. In August, he had a near 6 ERA. Um, he had 5 save opportunities and 11 innings, 10 hits, 9 earned runs, giving up 3 homers, 4 walks. Opponents were hitting 250 against him, which is not good against a closer. Which is very good if you're a hitter. If you're hitting as an offense 250 against a closer.
Oh,
Um,
if you're even Schwarber hitting 250, you're a great player. Got to
I
get in
I I
Schwarber and jams
I
in
know.
because now that he's
So
under 200 again. Sorry,
I
I'll
know.
stop.
So it's okay. In September, in 5 innings, Kimbrell's given up 4 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. But again, I'm going to say this to you, and you've said this 100 times, and we keep saying it. I don't care what the numbers tell me on MLB.com or Baseball Reference stats. This Phillies pitching has been awful since the middle of August, and it just gets you got this cover up, which was this offense, and now as you start getting into dog days of September, it's going to start really showing, rearing its ugly head, just how unreliable nearly every single arm on that staff is. And Jay, it's just terrifying because this is the part of the season where, like you said, guys start getting tired. And when you have a team fighting for a playoff spot, like the Phillies, there's no time to give guys rest. In like a week or so, the Braves are going to be able to give some of their guys, a rest every day or so because they're going to win 105 games.
Listen, these
But
are ERAs from this pitching staff in the last month.
mhm,
Nola 5.4,
yeah,
Walker
God,
6,
whoa.
Ranger 4.3, Lorenzen 7.9, Kimbrel 4. Kimbrel's got a 4, Soto 5.4, Bilotti
Mm,
5.1,
oh,
Dominguez 4.2.
yeah.
Like to me, there are like Wheeler's even at a 3.55, which is not a Wheeler like. So
Mhm,
how many of those guys did we I just named that are we came into the season thinking those are the crucial guys. Like Lorenzen,
right.
I expected to not this bad, but you
Not a
expected
7.
Nola. I expected Walker to be a little bit better. I
Yeah.
really thought Kimbrel was going to look better. Soto, I thought was going to be a little bit better. Not a 5 ERA guy. And then Dominguez is really so all these guys you're really counting on aren't doing dog crap. And it's
You're right.
very frustrating when, like you said, I've said it the whole time. I get the stats you throw at us. You throw it out there all the time. They're in there in the top 10 in a lot of
I
pitching
know.
categories. But I think we've watched baseball long enough that we know the eye test.
Of
And
course.
they're not passing it at all. It's really bad. And it's
Hmm.
so frustrating because you have an offense that if you just had okay pitching could
Hmm.
carry you to a World Series win.
And for
And
sure.
it's very strugglesome to see a lot of this happening, especially against, when you're losing to teams like Miami right now, you're struggling, even though Miami
Yeah.
handles them like every year, but they just haven't looked good. After that hot August, man, it just you hope that wasn't it. You hope they didn't really get everything they have and they're just done at this point with that pitching and that offense.
I agree. So I kind of want to talk about one of my main topics here, and um, I'm trying to think. I thought there might have been a hard run, but no. Okay. When you look at what's ahead now, this is a question I proposed in the group chat just because it popped into my head, and I figured, we're talking about a team that might need changes in the offseason, regardless. What happens from here until the very last game of the Phillies season. Um, they obviously need to revamp the entire pitching staff. They really do. They got to spend money there. However, I kind of want to just really want to dig into the negative, the biggest negative there is right now, which is if there is a September collapse for this Phillies team and they somehow miss the boat of having a red October, having the postseason appearance. Jay, do you believe that Dombrowski would have to make the decision to change head coaches to go to elevate? I mean, you went to the World Series last year, you lost. That's great. You added to that payroll big time, and then you might miss the playoffs. How can you just say that to the fan base? We got to bring this guy back, especially seeing the errors that he continuously makes.
Um, so good old Robert. I'm going to start giving him that. I'm in agreement with John.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know how you bring him back. The only thing is, it's not always bet like what out there are you going to get? What manager? Because
Right,
everyone thought
right.
Girardi was going to be the guy. You didn't know what you had in Topper when you brought him on. Um, Especially if it's a September collapse, I almost feel like you have to, but it doesn't
Mhm.
make it the right decision.
I
I
agree.
just with this pitching staff is so it just I get the numbers say they're good, but when you look at them, they're not. When I
Yeah,
watch them, they look terrible. It's tough. Because they added nothing pitching wise. Like
I know.
Soto was a guy last year. Yes, he had an
Well,
all-star
they
season.
added
Look
K1.
good. Yeah, but he's still a 3.54
Right.
ERA
He's
guy.
still, he's still a 3 or 4.
So
Yeah.
you knew pitching was going to be your problem, and it's continuing to be. So it's to me, it's tough to really say it's Topper's fault when we all agreed pitching might be the downfall of this team,
Hmm.
and at this point, it's really starting to show. And it always feels like everybody they get. I said this last year in that bullpen. They're good. They come to Philly and they suck. And it really
Hmm.
feels like they brought in a lot of big, guys that had good seasons last year or have historically good and just not good this season. So it's really
Hmm.
tough for me to say to get rid of Topper with how bad this pitching is. But I can't see him. If they collapse out in September, I can't see them bringing him back at all.
I agree, and just for reference, in terms of what the pitching has been doing, the Phillies game's not over yet, but as it stands right now, in a 3 games, the pitching staff total has given up 29 hits. So that's a lot of bats on balls against the team. And look, I understand Atlanta's a juggernaut, but if this Philadelphia Phillies team wants to go to the World Series, which is what their aspirations are, which is what the goal is, you're gonna have to get through the Atlanta Braves. Um, so
Yo, Turner just
right,
made a great play.
I
Sorry.
just I just I just saw it.
So I was excited. A good defensive play by Turner.
I'm
Gets the
stunned that
blood going.
it's when the fact when he reaches first base is amazing. So um, but yeah, that's how I'm sitting with this team right now. So I'm starting to really get worried about the durability of this team moving forward.
Do you think if, let's say that even if they make the playoffs and you get swept by the Cubs, do you think they
Oh
bring
my
him
God.
back? Because I just don't. I think this team has an easy enough schedule where they shouldn't. But Cubs have a couple of pitchers. They have a couple of pieces that if the Phillies don't give it their all, could take us out. Like I don't envision it, but do you think if they get swept, do you think that could still be a possibility? And then a follow up, do you think even if they collapse out, what percentage do you think he actually comes back? Do you think it's less than 50 if they collapse out this season?
If they collapsed out this season, I'm going to probably say it's around a 60-40 that he comes back. If they go
Oh,
in
so
and get,
you think
I
more
think
he
he's
comes
coming
back
back.
than not, regardless. Okay.
I think he comes back because the core of this team really loves playing for him. And that's the
Okay.
thing. And I just feel like it would look. I feel like Dombrowski might have the idea, whereas you just went to the World Series. You didn't have, your number one player for 40 games, but still, your guy you gave 300 million to was awful for the first 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
But I feel like Dombrowski will feel like it's not. You can't blame the manager for some of their big stars not coming through. I feel like he'll move players before he fires the
I
manager.
see. I really think they need, and I know it's way down, but I really think I would be more okay with that, and
Yeah,
I at this point, I'm as much as I hate Schwarber, you can't really deny the numbers.
yeah.
So I'll clown the guy, but he 40 plus home runs,
It's
probably
hard
hitting
to replace.
it is.
I
So,
mean,
but he might be the only movable piece that you can get
yeah,
pitching for. So
you're
that to
right.
me, it's tough because Casty, if he played the first half of the season, like if they
Hmm.
were tanking this whole year, you could have moved Casty early on. But
Yeah,
he started to struggle the second half, makes him much harder to move. It does stink because Schwarber's probably the only piece you have that can get you anything. That's like you're not trading Turner, you're not trading Harper, you're not trading
no.
JT. Schwarber's probably that guy.
So okay, so my next question to you, and you brought up his name. Do you think there's a chance that they explore the idea of trading a real Muto at the end of the season? Just saying, he's got 2 more years at about $24 million a year. That'll bring him to his age 34 season. Um, it's pretty clear that he's starting to decline. And I blame that on the Phillies because no catcher in the past 5 years has come remotely close to starting the most, has sat back there and caught more games than JT. But, his numbers this year are going to be significantly down from the last couple years. Um, what do you maybe are do you look at guys like Wheeler and JT as guys that could be moved?
See, to me, it's tough to move JT because you just traded what
Oha.
Ohapi. You just
Yeah,
traded him last season, and
yeah,
it's not like they have anybody in the system to bring up. And Stubbs, you don't want to roll through like when you had a guy like Carlos Ruiz, you understood his offensive capabilities and what he couldn't do, but you
right.
knew behind that plate you're getting a Gold
Hmm.
Glove catcher, um, and he was clutch. So it's tough
Hmm.
to really if there's not much better, it would be nice because he is a guy you could replace with pitching, but I don't know who you put behind that plate, especially in the day where they make stealing is now such a big part of the game again. You do need that, and he definitely looks like he's declining a little even behind the plate.
Hmm.
But it's tough to replace that because you don't have anybody in the system. I don't think there's anybody big out there this offseason. It's tough to move somebody, especially because you, like you say, yeah, you traded Hop last season. It's tough because you don't have anybody to replace him with.
Yeah.
Wheeler, I could see more because last
Mhm.
year, but to me, if you trade Wheeler, you're really not looking to win next season. I feel
Right.
like if you move a JT and a Wheeler, you're calling it a day for next season unless they're like, hey, we're going to
Yeah.
go get somebody. Like, there's nobody out there left right now, though,
No, there's nobody out there from a catcher standpoint that
or
you
even a
can
pitching
replace
in the
JT.
offseason.
Yeah, this your
It's a
boy
terrible
decided to
being, yeah, this
being an
guy.
idiot, and that kind of what that did, that's something that we'll probably talk about in the offseason, because I pretty much, in my opinion, I think we talked about this, solidified
Yeah,
the fact that Nola might be back next year.
I would think that as well.
Because, Urias going down now, that was your 1 and 2 punch in the offseason in terms of free agent pitching. And one of them is now off the table. The other one is due to get paid. So now the Phillies are looking at a situation where, well, we really kind of have no choice here. No, Wheeler's got 1 more year left, and Nola's what, 2 or 3 years younger than
Yeah.
Wheeler. So you might not have a choice but to pay. The man that holds all the leverage now is Aaron Nola. So
And it's sad with you watching with the way you watch
I
him
know,
pitch and even say those
yeah,
words.
it's really ridiculous to, like, I have to almost vomit when I have to say that. But you still, the fact of the matter is, if a team needs pitching, unless you go the trade route, Schwarber's not going to get you a number one or a number two. Schwarber's going to get you maybe like really good bullpen pieces. That's something that I can expect. But look, we have to see how the rest of the season plays out. If the Phillies win the World Series somehow,
Oh, this is all for moot. Yeah.
this is all off the table. They're all coming back.
Yeah.
That's just the way Nola's going to get $230 million from the Phillies, and he's whatever. They're going to come back with all these guys. But that fact of the matter is, this is a team right now, to bring it home here. They have no choice now. Almost, they have to sweep the Cardinals. If you don't sweep the Cardinals, you're going to Atlanta, where you could, depending on how the Cubs do, you could be leaving Atlanta in that second or third wild card spot. That's where we are right now, Jay. And it's sad because it was just a week or so ago this team had like a 4 or 5 game lead in that wild card spot.
The crazy thing is, in that series against Atlanta, we're getting Fried and Strider 1-2. It's not
Yeah,
looking good.
it's
Like
not.
McGill has a 5 ERA, but you're getting Fried and Strider. So, they need to, I don't know if you'd have to have Harper give him a meeting, closed door. Something needs to be said in that locker room right now to switch something. I don't know. I don't know what you do. I know last year they said Schwarber was the guy. At this point, it's too late in the season to there's no real turnaround. You need to step up now. Like, this is it. This is what we pay you for. This is why you came to Philadelphia, to have these type of, runs in September and hopefully go to October. So the leaders in that clubhouse right now, after this game and after this series, need to step up and really, let them know what needs to happen for the rest of the season. I think that is something that could happen, because they're just not looking good in September. So bad. I
Yeah,
know I've
and
said it multiple times, but
I know, and it sucks that we're gonna have to see Strider again. So in 8 appearances, 7 starts against the Phillies, Spencer Strider has a 1.56 ERA, which is only 7 earned runs in 40 and a third innings pitched, only 21 hits allowed, and 61 strikeouts in those 40 innings against the Phillies. So this is a guy, unless it's the postseason, they just can't figure this dude out. So again, this is shit that the Phillies are going to have to figure out, and they're going to have to figure it out within the next 48 hours.
Yeah.
Because the Phillies are off on Thursday, and then they play St. Louis, then they head back down to Atlanta for a 3-game set, and then it's the Mets. I'm trying to look here. Then the Phillies got the Mets.
It's Mets, Pittsburgh, Mets, I think.
Mets, Pittsburgh, Mets. So look, what I've been asking now for about a month and a half for the Phillies to go on a heater. It's going to have to start this weekend, or
it's going to start after that Braves series.
It's going to have to start after the Braves series.
Any heater that starts, I'm not going to count the Braves included in that. So if they sweep the Cardinals, I'm like, let's take a break for 3 days. Let's pick this heater back up after the Braves series.
Yeah. And my last thing I want to ask you, the Braves just had a home run, by the way.
3-run. That's what it was. 3-run, right? I know they had a man
on
first.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. That was a replay. My bad.
Oh, okay.
It looked very real. It wouldn't have shocked me at all. But so I'm going to ask you this: when you got guys like Harper who's played every single day almost since he's returned. Schwarber's played every day. Um, Cassie plays every single day. Turner. Uh, what do you do, man? Like, you, do you have to sneak some days off here and there? But this is a team that's going to need a little bit of rest before the postseason, I would assume. Um, it's weird saying that, but that's just the way Major League Baseball is these days. Jay, like against a team like the Braves next week, knowing you have no shot to do anything to them, do you kind of maybe give Harper a day there?
Okay. Ronald Acuna 145, Matt Olson 145, Austin Riley 143, Ozzy Albies 131. So no,
Mm-hmm.
you're fighting for a playoff here. The
Okay.
Braves are 16 games above you, and they're not resting their guys.
Yeah.
Olson and Acuna are carrying that team, and they're 16 games ahead of us. They have the division lockdown, and they're still going out there and trotting them out there every day. I understand Harper's
Mm-hmm.
been injured, but right now this is the stretch. We need everyone in this lineup. We
Yep.
can't afford to have anybody take off days right now. So at this point, this is why Harper said he wanted to come to Philly. This is
Yeah.
why he championed to bring all of these free agents here, because he wanted this type of baseball to be played. So no, down this stretch, you cannot bench anybody, not even Harper. All these guys, and you can rotate some guys around the DH, but I think the rest of these boys have to play. You're a game and a half up with the Cubs.
Yeah.
That number one wild card seed, I think, is a big deal because you get home field. You have
Mm-hmm.
to win that. So I don't know. You can't rest anybody down this stretch. They all need to play every day. Unless there's something really you can't go and play, get out there and suit up.
I agree. Wholeheartedly agree with you. I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on um, where you were in terms of time off. I mean, if you look at this Phillies roster right now, Schwarber's played 100. This is the 146th game. Cassie's played 144. Trey Turner 143. Stott 139. So yeah, this is a team that their starters have played a lot of baseball. Alec Boehm 132. JT 124 games behind the
Yeah,
plate. That's just
that's
wild
too
to me.
much for him. That's a
That's
lot
a
for him.
it's a lot.
It's
um,
not worthless.
it's
I have great opinions.
yeah, no, I agree.
It's not.
That's so rude. That's mean. He's a beautiful man. How dare you? All right. So, but before we do get out of here, I just want to guys let you know that fresh ball fall is upon us, and you need to be in the festive spirit. Light a candle, get some pumpkin spice. Make sure your balls look nice with the sponsors of today and every episode. That's Manscaped. Nature may clear the leaves of their trees, but you'll need Manscaped's help to get you ready for that sweater weather. Get your pants puppies prepared for cuffing season with a trim as refreshing as a fall breeze by going to manscaped.com and using our code baseball20 for 20% off plus free shipping. It's time for nice flannels and cozy socks, but we cannot forget to trim that's right, our balls. By now you've heard of them. Not your balls, you've heard of Manscaped. But it's time to join the 9 million men worldwide using Manscaped and get the kit that covers it all. And that's the Performance Package 4.0. It starts with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer with advanced skin safe technology that reduces nicks and cuts to make raking the leaves a lot less stressful. Plus, the lawnmower is a technical masterpiece. It has 7,000 RPM motor, a multifunction on-off switch that can engage a travel lock, and built-in 4,000K LED spotlight to help you see parts of your body that you may not have looked at in years. Once you've cleared the driveway, the Performance Package comes in hot with products to cool you down. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Spray Toner, one to prevent stink and one to clear it up. With a soothing aloe vera formula, move over pumpkin spice, fresh balls, or the smell of the season. That's my favorite sentence. The Performance Package 4.0 caps it off with 2 free gifts, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. That's one to hold your Manscaped goodies and one to hold your man goodies. Bring in the fall right and get 20% off and free shipping with the code baseball20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using our code baseball20. As the leaves fall, make sure you have it all with Manscaped.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
just want to call out this Anthony clown real quick. I don't know who this guy is, but he doesn't know
Mm-hmm.
how to spell ball sack. He said he looks like my ball sake. So I just want to, and he spelled manscape without the E at the end. So come on, bro. Man
Yeah.
up. If I'm worthless, you got to learn, you got to spell. You're going to get clowned.
Anthony, head over to manscaped.com right now. And
There's an E in it though.
yeah, I know.
Manscapede.com. I just got to let
Yeah.
him know. He spelled it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's going to get Jason a gift, but use our code baseball20. You get 20% off and free shipping. All right, Jay. So before we get out of here, your predictions for the weekend series before we come back on here Sunday night after a huge 49ers victory against the Rams.
Sweep. I
That's
agree
how
with
I
you.
feel. I agree.
I think they take out some of that pressure. I think, like you said, I think something in this next 48 hours, I think, the leaders of the team understand the position they're in, especially
For
after
sure.
last season. So
Yeah.
I do see a sweep coming up.
I agree. I think this is the kind of series that you're going to see the Phillies offense score 7 to 10 runs a game again. So, in my opinion, the series against St. Louis is huge here. It's huge, and it's not just huge in terms of getting dubs. It's going to be huge in terms of it's going to be huge in terms of getting that momentum and that swagger back. Because again, you go right back into next weekend. I didn't even realize this. The Braves just won the game and they clinched the division on the field at Citizens Bank Park. That's great. That's wonderful. I hope the Phillies look at that and get a little bit motivated.
That's not funny.
But yeah, I hope the Phillies use this weekend series against the Cardinals as a momentum shift to get that swagger back. Because again, if you're gonna go up against the Braves next week, I understand what could happen there, but the rest of that schedule is one that can be had. And I mean, the Phillies have an opportunity to rip off 9 of 10 or 10 of 12 to end the season and end the season real strong. This is it. This is the stretch. This is the final stretch run here. And we're about to get, and Manscaped would like this. We're about to get balls deep in it. And it's going to be a wild ride here. And we're looking forward to covering it with you. Look, show merch just dropped. We're going to be adding things very soon. Head over to ringthebellshop.myshopify.com. Check out what you like. We got koozies up there, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, t-shirts. Also, let us know what you like. Let us know what you want by going to any of our social media outlets here at Ring the Bell 856 for all of them. So yeah, definitely check that out. And God, fuck the Braves. I can't stand them.
Didn't we celebrate in Atlanta last year in the divisional series though?
We did. Yeah. Yeah. But thank you to everybody who tuned in. I really appreciate it.
He's watching the game. He just watched the Braves, celebrate on our field. That's what I was turning around to watch. I had to make sure it's true. Okay.
You don't owe him an answer. Head over to SeatGeek.com. Use our code on the bump for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. Again, head over to SeatGeek.com and use our code on the bump for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. As always, we'll be back here Sunday night, hopefully talking about a Philly sweep of the St. Louis Cardinals. It would be nice.
Not hopefully. We will be.
We will. I agree.
Speaking into existence.
For sure. Throw it out there. All right. So I'm Chrissy Francesco. That's Jason Kent. And we'll catch you guys here Sunday evening. And as always, go Phil.